What's up, everybody? Welcome to Leaders of Lifestyle, a podcast all about real estate, sports, and entertainment. Take a deep dive with me into the world of high-end lifestyle and get exposed to the different leaders behind the scenes of it all. So let's get right into it. Welcome, everybody, to Leaders of Lifestyle podcast. I'm your host, Michael Ferraro. Today's guest, Jessica Sigmund from the Jessica Sigmund team with Compass in Westchester, New York, and Connecticut. We're so excited to have her here with us today to talk about her business, her life, and so much more. Jessica, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
What people don't know is that right before we did this podcast, and I'm in a brand new, brand new studio space, trying to make all this stuff work and everything. We just got it. We had to get out of our whatever we were wearing, and we had to put our sweatshirts on. We had to get comfy and put our hoodies on. So,
yep. Keep it authentic.
Where can people buy those?
So we just give them out to anybody that wants them. We ordered a bunch when Queensboro, which is where we order them from, they do like a 50% off sale. So they're like $17 for custom hoodies. And then I just if people ask me for them, I just give them to them.
Nice.
I would never want anybody to buy them. It's not
But it's cool branding though, right? Like if you have a cool piece of clothing and it's like fashionable, then, people start really wearing it and tagging you in it and doing different things like that. I mean, you have a decent social following. I mean, why not if it's pretty cool?
It is cool. It's cool. Like I'll get an inspector sent me a picture of a hoodie. He must have been doing an inspection at a house and my hoodie was there. And it was just so cool. I don't even know whose house it was, but somehow someone had the hoodie and it felt good.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
So Connecticut, Westchester, you split your time 50-50 with Compass. I'm interested in knowing Westchester, New York, right? It's like our neighbor. It's our brother in Connecticut, especially in Greenwich. How has the market been? I'm sure it's hot like every place else, but specifically lately, how's it been for you guys?
It's still definitely limited inventory. I live in Portchester currently, and so I grew up in Greenwich, but Portchester was our neighboring town.
Right.
So I grew up basically feeling like I was almost half from Portchester. So to see Portchester kind of developing the way it has been, it's awesome. And I think that the Portchester market is definitely solid. No inventory. Anytime something comes on the market, if it's staged and marketed and priced correctly, it's going to sell most likely with multiple offers. The same for, Rye and Harrison and West Harrison, Larchmont, Mamaroneck. Those are all just really strong markets right now. And, I think that a lot of people are looking to move to the suburbs and don't know where in Westchester they want to live. So they're just kind of exploring all those different towns.
Nice. Definitely. Yep. Same everywhere, right? It's crazy. Low inventory, low rates, people buying everything that pops up. How is it? So this is a question I've always wanted to ask a broker who works a lot in Westchester because I use it basically against you. But how is it when you're dealing with customers? And this is such a unique question to you because you do work Greenwich and Connecticut and Westchester. How do you deal with I am in market for both Westchester, any property, Rye, Scarsdale, Armonk, Rybrook, Bedford, wherever in Westchester. But I'm not opposed to looking in Connecticut, Lower Fairfield County, New Canaan, Greenwich, Darien, Stamford, let's say Greenwich. How do you deal with the taxes conversation when it comes to the Westchester market?
Yeah, I think it's such a personal preference because when I first got into real estate, I was always advised to pick a niche market, find out where you want to work and just focus all of your energy and your marketing dollars and your expertise on that market. And I never really did that. I kind of went all over because I felt like real estate was real estate. And whenever I got a referral or a client, if they wanted to go here or there, I just learned, the market and did my research and brought them anywhere. So I felt like now buyers are not so looking for one single spot. And like you said, they'll call me and be like, we're looking in Rye, we're looking in West Harrison, but we're also have our eyes on, North Stamford or Greenwich, depending on the taxes. And it's Westchester is not as easy as Connecticut. We really have to confirm taxes for every single home. So, because there's not just a straight science on how taxes work. So if it's somebody looking in Portchester or someone looking in Rye, we have to make it case by case versus on the house. So if somebody's really interested, usually I'll reach out to a tax assessor. I'll find out where, what the assessments are, what the taxes are going to be if they close, if it is per the price or if it's per assessments. We just do a lot of research to figure out the taxes in Westchester, where
Gotcha.
Connecticut's much more easier.
Gotcha. And then, so, I mean, historically, the taxes in Greenwich are historically low. That's why people love it, for the school systems, the lifestyle, and the taxes being so low on their property. Westchester does seem to have a very high, property taxes on the real estate are higher, much higher. How do you combat that with, like, what is it that you say to help somebody to say, listen, I know you're kind of teetering on both this really great opportunity to live in Westchester because yes, the taxes are higher, but like, what do you tell people?
Yeah, I think it matters about their price, like what their budget is. I think that I work really closely with my mortgage brokers to understand what their budget's going to be in Westchester versus what it's going to be in Greenwich. And I think that when people start looking into Greenwich, depending on the price point, they realize that even though the taxes are so much lower, they have to spend so much more to get what they want. Right. So it's kind of always a toss up. If they're not diehard to be into Greenwich, then maybe they look at something under $1 million in Westchester versus having to go to $1.5 million or $1.6 million to get an average. It's just such a higher price point. So I think it really just depends on each person. It's situation to situation.
Yeah, I'm always, it's just fascinating because it's like, when you have a buyer who's coming up, let's say from Manhattan or coming up from Florida, and let's say they have a family and they have kids. Well, Westchester does have some great school systems. They do. Mm-hmm. Lower Fairfield County, Connecticut has great school systems. And then it's like, wow, it's great. Commuter, probably Westchester could probably win that as far as maybe less drive on 95 or Merritt or something. But then you're looking at the taxes, and it's always like, I find that people are either I'm Westchester or I'm open, and then that's where Connecticut can sometimes really top it. So I think it's an interesting conversation for sure.
Even closing costs, forget taxes. The closing costs in Connecticut versus Westchester are completely different. So there's a lot of things that you look at when you're looking to switch from Connecticut to Westchester. You're going to pay half or even less than half on your closing costs to buy in Connecticut. The mansion tax is paid on the seller side versus mansion tax. If you're looking at a certain price point in Westchester, you're already guaranteed that you're going to pay a mansion tax. So your closing costs already go up a little bit. So there's so many things that people weigh. And if the way that with everything that happened with COVID and not having to commute as often, if you're commuting 2 or 3 days a week, maybe looking in Greenwich or Darien or Norwalk or Rowayton or Westport, all those areas became much more popular because the commute wasn't as big of a deal anymore, and you get so much for your money and you pay less taxes and you get great schools.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. So just sell everything in Connecticut, have everybody just go to Connecticut and we'll be all set. No problem. And then we'll make some money.
But you have to go pretty far now. Greenwich market is so strong. It's like people come back to Westchester because they can get, or even like West Harrison is a great example. You get a little bit more of a backyard. You get a bigger house. You're not directly close to a train, but you can use North White Plains or White Plains train station. So West Harrison's gotten pretty popular too, as far as like a comparable to like a Greenwich type of thing where you get a little bit more for your money. As far as space.
Right. Have you seen it as far as your sales this year? Have you seen it be, because this is interesting. Do you find that I'm doing a lot more in Connecticut and Greenwich than I am in Westchester, or maybe I got a ton of people selling in Westchester and buying in Greenwich, or like what's the trends there?
Yeah, I see a lot of people looking to go to Connecticut. Definitely. I used to be much more focused on Westchester and still obviously live in Portchester. It's my favorite market. But I'm definitely seeing people being like, I'll look in Wilton, I'll look in New Canaan, I'll look in Ridgefield. And just all over. And sometimes we start our search in Westchester and we finish our day in Connecticut because people are really looking for a home now. They're not necessarily looking for a town. And I think that the way it used to be is people would be like, I'm moving to Rye, New York. And that was where they were moving. Now they're like, I'll move to Rye, I'll move to Harrison, I'll move to New Canaan, I'll move to Darien. Like they have such a wide options because the inventory is so limited that they're looking for the right house.
Yep. And I have Mark Pruner on, who's amazing at statistics and everything. and his whole thing on the Wolf and the people working from home. Yeah, it's changing so many dynamics. I find the suburbs and the dynamics and trends and where people are going and what they really want, and the new buyer that wasn't here 2 years ago. There are just a lot of different things that are happening. But then when you have super low interest rates and no inventory and no end in sight, and now with this new, God help us, whatever this new thing coming out is, it's like,
Yeah.
here we go. Here we go. It's going to be bigger and crazier than ever.
Yeah. And I think that, I always, people always ask, like they ask you, I'm sure, like, well, what do you think is going to happen with the market? And what do you think is going to happen with the interest rates? And like, we never know, of course, because everything could change. But ultimately right now, it's like, even if the rates start creeping up, more buyers are going to start getting anxious to buy again. So we're going to get another sort of frenzy like we had with COVID, because people are going to want to jump onto, holding on to the low interest rates while they can.
I think it's interesting too, talking to a lot of other brokers in different markets. It's amazing how I always had a perception of the Westchester and Greenwich and Connecticut market being such a lot of off-market stuff, and there's definitely off-market stuff being done. But then when I talked to a lot of people in Miami, and I talked to a lot of people in South Florida, and it is amazing. It's like almost way more majority off-market deals being done. And it's almost like we don't necessarily, and sellers in this area haven't gone to the concept yet of the off-market stuff. Us being with Compass, there's a Compass plug. We have a great off-market system that we have the ability to work with within our CRM that is just our proprietary thing. I think that's another game changer for us down the road, is kind of knowing and getting into the off-market stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's good and bad. It depends, I guess, what side you're on. If you're working with a buyer or if you're working with a seller. So, like, I had a house that we were listing in Wilton a couple weeks ago, and I brought one of my buyers to go look at it first, because they've kind of just been like frustrated with the market and they're getting outbid on everything. And I was listening to their needs, and I was like, the house I have coming on is perfect for you. So I brought them, and then they just couldn't get to like make an offer quick enough, and we listed it on the market. And realistically, like, it didn't make sense for my sellers to take an off market deal. Like the market's just so crazy and so strong, to not put it on the open market would have been to do a disservice to them. So we put it on the market. We ended up with 17 offers, 55 showings in 2.5 days, hundreds of thousands over ask. And my off market buyers were like, shoot, we probably should have jumped on that. But then it's like, what's the point of really doing things off market? Is it really serving a purpose, rather than, I get it if there's health conditions or you don't want people in your house or something like that. But otherwise, I think the open market is really where you have to sell your home around here.
Oh, 100%. We're just running into a situation where, because there's such low amount of inventory, people, if you're not in real estate on the day-to-day, everybody right now knows that the market is hot. Their home value is improved, right? It's probably at the highest that it's ever been. But they don't think about, oh, well, I guess I would sell if I got this number. And they don't think that their number is possible, because they don't really pay attention. They're living their life. And that's kind of like what we're looking at is if we're able to have an opportunity to say, we do have a buyer, because we have a lot of buyers that come in. My list of buyers is growing. Your list of buyers is growing, because we just don't have a place to put them. Yes. Oh, I want this square footage, this price point, this location, this style home. Well, it doesn't exist. It's not a thing. So if we can find those things that are possibly there, but just not on market, it's a way to really do service to clients that really just need a place to live. And a lot of these people now are selling their stuff in Manhattan and just hoping something's going to pop in, especially people with kids, and they're just making things happen. I mean, Manhattan market's super hot too. I mean, but I think off market for certain people who aren't ready to list it. If they're ready to list and they're putting it on with Jessica, Sigmund, and they're going to sell their property for over asking price, that's not going to be a problem. You could do that all day. It's just the people who are like, I'm not really have to do anything, but if I got this, maybe, and that would help out a buyer.
I think and it's funny, because I'm in the process of hopefully purchasing my own house right now.
Nice.
And so it's off market. So, it goes both ways. Because for me, being in the business, I'm super fortunate to hopefully be getting this house that never went to the market, and that they just didn't want a million people trampling through their home. They had young kids. They actually have to rent back. So everything that they needed was a little bit complicated. And for me to be able to be flexible with them and work with them, the peace of mind and the ease was more valuable to them than hopefully the money. So I think it's like we said, it's case by case. And if there's a seller like that, that's like, this is what I need, this is what I want. I already have another house, just bring me the buyer.
Yeah.
Then great. Then let's do that. Of course, ultimately, our only goal is to service our clients.
Right. And you do a great job of that. So
Try.
Awesome. Let's talk. We got all that out of the way. I hope everybody listening knows that we got two experts here. So we could go on for hours about that. Let's talk a little bit about you and your business and kind of get to know it a little bit. So you went to school. You're from Westchester?
Nope, I'm from Greenwich. Went to elementary, middle, and high school.
Where did you go? Where in Greenwich?
I went to Western Middle School and Greenwich High School. Grew up in Chickahominy.
Okay, all right. And then, where'd you go to school after Greenwich?
I went to Lynn University in Boca for school.
Wow.
Got a business degree. So I got a business degree with a minor in human services. Both kind of work with real estate. So a little bit of social worker and obviously a lot of business.
Did you know that's what you wanted to do, real estate?
No, I always wanted to be like a psychiatric nurse or like a psychologist or a social worker or something in like the, mental health fields kind of thing. So
selling real estate's kind of in that same ballpark. It's a lot. We're dealing with a lot of psychology all the time with people. But so tell us, how did the real estate story start?
So my aunt is a property manager and owns buildings all over Westchester. So I moved back here when I got divorced and was like, what am I going to do? I didn't have a job. I was kind of like a housewife where I lived, and I was in Canada. So I got here and I was like thinking of what to do. And I've always been obsessed with real estate. It's always been in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a real estate agent. So I started working with my aunt, running her buildings and helping with the property management side. Got my real estate license because we were renting out our own apartments in her building. And from there, the people that were renting these apartments wanted to buy. So I felt like if I didn't start to learn the next part of the industry, I was missing out on such a huge opportunity. So then I decided to go off on my own, and I went over to start working at Rand Realty, started to service all the people that I had put into rentals, and then it just kind of grew from there.
Got it. And so now you've been in real estate for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 4.5 years, 5 years.
4.5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've definitely seen obviously a growth in your business and stuff. And what would you contribute some of the biggest growth in your business to?
Being a sponge, like Chirag always tells me, definitely putting myself in the right places with people that are super smart and really successful, and people that I admire and people I look up to, and just really kind of following their lead. My first listing, I co-listed when I went off on my own at Compass with Heather Harrison, who's just like, to me, one of the, leading people in our industry. I got to follow along with her, communicate with her, see how she worked with the client, see how she, serviced her listing. So, just kept bringing people on. I do a lot still. We just closed a deal last week, Brian Milton and I. He's just somebody I look up to a lot in this industry. So anytime I could bring him on a listing with me or a listing presentation or anything I could do to follow in his footsteps, I really just did the first couple of years. I just, really just found great mentors.
Yeah. And do you find, and Brian's iconic, I love Brian. He's great. Yeah. So do you find that you're starting to gain traction and grow your business through some different ways than traditional? Say, like, for example, social. Is that you have a great social following. Have you kind of embraced that and used that? Or what's your kind of MO?
Yeah, so that's like very much out of my comfort zone, posting pictures and these lifestyle things and the things that Compass does and pushes, which I love when I look at the branding of it, and I think it's awesome. But for me to want to post pictures of myself is not something I'm comfortable doing, but I've been doing it, and I do get a ton of business from my social. It's also a really good way for me to connect with my clients when I'm selling them a house or after I've sold them a house, to keep in touch with them, to see what's happening in their life, to have a really, valuable relationship with them, because ultimately it's a relationship, right? So like even selling them a house, it starts with trust and communication and everything a relationship does. So I really find social media for me a very easy way to maintain those relationships.
Yeah. So you're running a very good relationship business, CRM business, past client referral business, and social media, and it's worked out really, really well. Do you are you finding any trends that are certain to work for you as far as just things that you really like? This is something I've really loved and I've enjoyed, and this is something that's kind of a go-to for me for business and helping clients and stuff like that.
Like as far as like, investing in Zillow or that kind of stuff, or just like with my clients, like when I first jumped on to being a realtor and when the COVID sort of first started and I was really fearful of like, how am I going to pay my bills? And,
Mm.
what am I going to do? I grew up in like the service industry. So even though I had a business background, I was always like a bartender in the restaurant business or something where I was serving people. So when all the restaurants were shut down and real estate was shut down, I was kind of like, oh my God, this is like really awful. So I think that I realized that, the service industry is who we are as agents. I feel like, uh, I guess, I just was lost and scared of what I was going to do when COVID happened.
Yeah.
So I invested in Zillow. The moral of the story is I invested in Zillow, which was a huge leap of faith. It was like $6,000 or $7,000 a month. I was not a producing agent where I could afford that kind of money. I really didn't have any options, and I've always been a very big risk taker. And I was on the phone with the guy at Zillow, and I was like, "What's the most I can spend?" And he was like, "That's not really how you should do it. You should do like 2,000 or 3,000 a month and be consistent." And I was like, "Nope, I want to go all in, 100%." And I was like, "I'm in sales. I very much appreciate it, but this is just something that I need to do." And I did it, and within a couple of days, I got a $2.5 million referral that from Zillow that I closed within a month that paid back, thank God.
Mm.
Otherwise, I would have been in big trouble. So I did a lot of Zillow. I'm not currently doing it anymore. It was a big investment, but it helped get me started.
Nice. Very, very nice. And then so you did some Zillow, obviously using all the systems and tools that are presented to you through Compass. You still
Mhm.
crush it on social. And I know I get that feeling of like it's tough. Like I'm there. I definitely would not be posting pictures of me and doing that whole thing. I totally hear it. But you make it look great, and you look and your
Thank you.
social looks awesome. And that is a huge part of where we're headed into the future of everything. Um,
Yeah.
so the business in 2022 growing for you. I mean, what do you see yourself and where do you see your business going?
Uh, I hope it keeps growing. It's to me, I still like really pinch myself that I'm doing what I'm doing right now. It's not, doesn't really feel real. I have a team of 7 people. We are about to do 60 million this year. I like dreamed of this. So like for
Yeah.
me, I just keep hoping that I keep doing good to people and being a good person and that it keeps working. Because to me, this is an amazing business. It's an amazing industry. It's amazing to be able to help people find their homes, or first time home buyers, or the people that are getting married, or people that have lost loved ones that have to sell. Like it's just a really special industry, and you get to make a really good amount of money while you're doing that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you were to do, is there anything else that you would do right now if they were like, you can't sell real estate anymore? Like, we take real estate away. Real estate's gone. Like, you can't sell it. What would you
That
do?
sounds horrible.
No, let's just say
Uh,
it was like all good. Like, money, here's the money in your bank account. Just don't worry about it. It's like severance. Like, what would you go and do?
yeah. I mean, anything in the service industry, I love restaurants, food, social work, helping people, non-charity. I do a lot of non-charity. I do a lot of like fundraisers. I love helping people. I didn't grow up with the easiest life. So for me, any way I can give back is like very fulfilling to me. I don't take it for granted or not appreciate where I am in life at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would be a movie director. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I
maybe
was
that hence all your equipment
I
and,
don't even know why. I just when I was a kid, I used to always like making movies with my brothers and like my friends. You know, little camcorders. I'm a
yes.
'90s kid, so like that's where we had the little camcorder. And I don't know. I just have like I have a creative side, like where I kind of like to be creative, but I am untechy. I can't. I could do this and tell people I don't want that, but I couldn't actually film anything or do actually the work. But I think I think that's what's cool about real estate is we have the sales side, which is very much a people side of it, where you're not really like we're not used car salesmen. Look, we're selling a super high end product to very sophisticated people who just want a really good consultant and they can smell BS a mile away. So just be honest and do what we do best. But at the same time, there's also like the video shoots and the idea of how you're going to market the property and the lifestyle and who the buyers are going to be. And that's cool. That's a whole nother side. And there's not too many businesses out there where you can run your own business, live the kind of life that you want to live, make the money you want to make, and have both sides of your brain kind of being able to work at one time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool. Yeah, it's a pretty cool business that we're in.
I know. Your thing is a little blurry, just so you know. Your screen.
Yeah, it'll blur out, and then it'll show blurry on your end, and then not on mine. It all gets handled out in post.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Like, we have the opportunity to use both of our brains, the business side and the emotional, people side, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, nice. So
yeah,
let's talk recreationally. When you're not crushing it and selling millions and millions and millions and tens of millions of, and probably hundreds of millions soon of real estate, what do you do for fun recreationally?
I'm a big dog person. If you follow my social media, my dog is like my biggest obsession ever. So I'm usually out hiking or at the beach or anywhere outdoors with him. I love to travel, but haven't done that much of it lately.
Yeah, right.
I love working out, so I have a good group of friends that I work out with, and I love drinking and eating. So.
Drinking and eating, yeah, there you go, perfect. And then do you have like a routine that you? Yeah, there you go. I own a restaurant nightclub, so I hear you. I know.
Oh, cool.
What do you have any like habits that you follow, like as far as workouts and stuff like that? Because that's another trend of people that are high achievers, especially like in this business. They usually have some sort of kind of consistent pattern that they kind of follow in this business.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very disciplined with myself. So I'm usually like in bed by 10. Everyone knows the rules. It's like Cinderella, like have to be home by that time. I don't break it very often. I'm up every morning by 6. My workout's at 7:30. Pretty consistent with it. After that, I usually head to the beach with the dog, try to just have like a little kind of peaceful start to the day. And then from there, like full force into tons of calls and putting out lots of fires or whatever the case is, and then just do it over again the next day. Or by 5 or 6, I usually go out for dinner or cook dinner and have wine and do it all over.
Nice. That sounds pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool.
I have a 4 and 6-year-old, so I'm like, walks on the beach with my dog.
I see your kids, your family looks awesome.
Well, they're awesome. It's amazing. It's a blessing, and it's a lot of work. It is a lot. So the morning, do you do like functional training or do you like strength train, and like where do you do it?
One of my very closest friends has a garage gym that she started during COVID. So I train with her every morning. It's kind of like a mix of like a HIIT type of workout with like CrossFit training. So we did CrossFit together. Now she does it in her gym, but we do it a lot. Like it's sort of like a CrossFit HIIT mixed together.
Yep. I built the gym right when COVID started. I built a gym down there, and I was like just slowly doing it. And it was like, I got like a bar, and then I bought like all the bumper weights, and then I put all the flooring down. Then I got the bike, and then I got the box, and then I got the vest, and then I put the pull-up bars, and I'm like, this is great. And it's the hardest thing about it sometimes is that not having people there to compete with. That was what I think I missed the most is like, I do like challenging against other people. Like I want to go head to head on Fran. Like I want to go hardcore on a 20-minute WOD or something like that. That's the hardest.
Yeah, I couldn't do it without her. Like we are very competitive, so we train against each other usually in the morning. So she works out with me too. And it's like, I see all these people use home gyms and people that work out alone, but like you, I would not have any motivation not competing with someone else.
Yeah. Are you a coffee drinker?
I do not drink coffee. I've never had a sip of coffee in my life.
No way. You're like my wife. She
never
doesn't drink any coffee. I don't know how people do that.
Yeah.
You're
no
just
coffee.
Natural energy. So no pre-workout, nothing for you.
No pre-workout. Jason Wilson, our manager, calls me a squirrel because I'm always like running around in a million different directions. Just a high energy person.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And so when you're done at the end of the day, some wine, some food, and then you're chill, and then you go to bed and you get up and do it the next day.
Yes.
Do you plan it
That's
out? Like, do you write out your schedule and the next day?
No, I'm a pretty big free spirit, kind of go with the flow. And I don't think you can, it's hard to have like a schedule in real estate. Like, us just trying to get together for this, it's like I could have nothing on my calendar in when I go to bed and the next day I have a full day. It's like
Right.
we just never know.
Right.
I never say no to anything. That's my big thing. I say yes to every single thing I can. If a team member needs to help with a showing or if somebody wants to see something or I try to always say yes.
Yeah. For you coming over to Compass, was it a pretty much no brainer for you, or did it take some convincing or thinking?
Compass definitely changed my life. I am like obsessed with this company. It has truly, truly changed my life. I owe them so much towards my success and just putting me around awesome people and putting me into a culture that I could have only dreamed of. Meeting people like you and everybody else that I know in our company is just game changer. Like you really are who you hang out with, and like who you surround yourself with. And Compass has really built an awesome culture. So it was definitely scary. I was on a team at Houlihan Lawrence, and leaving them and going on to Compass on my own was scary. But like I said, I'm a risk taker and I knew it wasn't the right fit for me where I was. And I was watching Compass and watching, people join and I loved, the image of it, the style of it. I just was like, this is like, I want to drink the Kool-Aid, you know?
What's your favorite part about I know, excuse me. I know that you did a lot with the Compass Tech platforms and everything like that. What's your favorite part about it?
I think it's the leadership is my favorite part about it. I think that if you could have like painted a picture of who you would want to work for, or the qualities of the people of your leaders, like everything that Robert Refkin and Rory and Gordon and Matt Spangler, like all that they stand for, and that the way that they treat people and the way that they're involved and their core values. And it's such a feel good company that you want to do good. You want to lead by example. You want to follow, in their footsteps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good people, and the platforms they've been able to create are awesome. And like I said, if people YouTube you, and they're going to find a lot of the technology platforms that you promoted and viewed and worked on, and that's really great. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean the technology I didn't ever have before. Like when you look back at like Houlihan Lawrence, or I mean not just to bring them up, but like any company, there was nothing that existed, even 1% of what we have now. The way we can create tours, the way we have our CRM, the way that our collections, like it's all just game changer. Like it is truly the best ever. Like it's like I just can't imagine Compass not changing the real estate world as it continues to grow, because what you think about that you need as an agent, they've already thought about and they're already on to working on it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
It is crazy. And then speaking of like game changers and going forward and like everything, what do you think about what's going to happen with real estate, let's say the next 10 years? I mean, Zillow just put all that money into like the iBuyer stuff, and then that didn't really work out too well. And what do you think? I have my own opinions on it. I think everybody does, but it's our career, right? So are you banking on real estate agents having a strong footing for the next 10 years? Where do you see it?
Yeah, I see it continuing to grow into sort of this like to me, it's unbelievable that I can help people with the second biggest investment of their life. And I always say, like, I met this landlord at a house I lived in California, and he was like, the biggest investment you ever make in your life is who you marry. The second is the house you buy. And like, I always remembered it. And like, we take, a 72-hour course and we can help somebody with the second biggest investment of their life, and it's just completely crazy to me. And we have the opportunity to become millionaires really at the end of the day, just being a real estate agent working on a, small 72-hour course. So I don't see us losing, to iBuyers or the Zillow thing. I think it's a people connection business. I think that the people that do it like used car salesman and the people that don't have the integrity in the business, eventually they're going to fall out. And this is going to become a pretty strong, successful, professional, business for people. And I don't see us changing at all.
Right. I think I agree. I think the whole middle of real estate, the 80-20 just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. And that 20% is really a top 20% of the best people from the best company with the best systems and the best tools, offering the best services. And it's nice to be on a winning team that's promoting it and doing it well. Not to say I don't want to hear from other agents. So if you're listening and you're on another podcast, you're going to come on. We're open to hearing about your company and what you do too. But Compass is an amazing company with an amazing brand, with amazing agents underneath it, for sure. That is 100%.
Yes.
So your business yourself that you've been able to grow and everything, and that you want to continue growing into it when you're on the winning team to be able to do it. So far in your career, would you say that you've had any one moment that kind of like stood out to you? Where like, oh, this is pretty great. This is probably one of my favorite moments so far in this business.
I mean, I truly have one like every day. I'm such a people lover and people person, and anytime that I can make a difference in someone's life, which, you know, in this career and in this business is fairly often, I have so many feel good stories, you know, just all the time, you know, someone reaching out to me that I sold the house to, that's maybe having a bad day around the holidays, that yesterday I could spend, you know, 15 minutes talking her off the ledge and then end up the conversation like she's just so thankful that I'm here. And I'm like, I'm really thankful you're here, you know, like, because those conversations help me put things in perspective, and the holidays are tough. So like for me, helping somebody else helps me. So like it's really give and take. And, you know, just a lot of just, you know, feel good moments in this business. I can't think of anything like super special. I mean, I could think of a million different stories, but I wouldn't even want to take away from like all of them that I have. I have so many.
Yeah. Do you think there's you being a professional and trying to, you know, you having your degree in something else and kind of looking at possibly going down that path, and then obviously going into the road of real estate that you did. I mean, do you think that there's such a huge component there from one and the other, and to say like, look, I mean, I'm in real estate, I get to do this, but I'm still doing what I really always sought out to do, which is help people, counsel people, help people feel good. I'm really doing the same thing. I'm just taking this vehicle now of real estate to be able to do it, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the psychology part, like, you know, you said, there's such a human element to our business. You know, it's a big purchase. It's an emotional purchase. It's sometimes super happy. Sometimes it's a divorce and it's really, really sad. And sometimes it's, you know, there's so many different dynamics that go into what we do, that if you don't get the people side, I couldn't imagine doing it, like, you know, without having the understanding of like humans.
Right. Yeah. You have to, I mean, I would say my favorite moment was I had a client who was older, and I met with him and his wife, and they were just the sweetest people ever. And I was basically like, all right, you know, we're going to list the property, you know, you were a referral from somebody else, and I'm here to help. And they said, great, you know, we've had a lot of trouble. And they said, listen, we're going to go away and we're going to come back in like 2 months and then we'll put it up. Well, when we came back, she had been diagnosed with like brain cancer. And like, I'm like, whoa, what happened? And he's like, you know, yeah, she got diagnosed, and she was there. She was like, yeah, well, we're going to beat it. We're going to find it. Literally like a couple months later, that's how fast it was. And then he calls me and he was like, whatever you got to do, I don't know. She set it up for me. Like, she ran everything in my life. I have a whole house full of her. I don't know what to do. I can't be. So it was like, we came in and we took over everything, and we used Compass Concierge to get everything all set up. And we really, I'm like, I got you. We have everything that you need. It was just the feeling. And then being able to give them, like, we had like 16 offers like the first day, right? Because this is right as kind of everything was getting crazy. But it was like the feeling of like this person who was a rock all of his life, who had this terrible thing happen, god awful thing, was like in the most need he could possibly be in. And there we were with arms out, ready to catch him, and provided everything for him that he needed so that he could get through that moment in time. And it was like that. I mean, what else do you want? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, that's the ultimate service that we could possibly provide somebody. It's when they come to you and say, I cannot do this. I don't know what I got to do. I don't know how to do this. I know nothing. mean, painting everything, moving his stuff out, restaging it, taking care of all the stuff for him. It was like, even putting him up in some place if we have to move certain things. It was like a whole thing, and getting it done so he didn't feel any pain from it, where it was like 2 days of being out because he was dealing with his own pain. Like that to me was, and I've had some great moments. I will never, ever forget that. That will be one of the things that is like, they didn't tell you that in the course. When we were getting our license, they weren't like, oh yeah, by the way, this might actually happen. Like you're never thinking about that. You're like, man, I'm going to make so much money. What cars am I going to buy? I'm going to help people out, but I'm going to make money selling real estate. And you forget that like, that's real. That's that. If you keep that in your mindset of like, that's what we go for. That's what we do every day. And that's how we are in this business. You can never go wrong. That's what you do. And that's why you're going to be successful.
That story is, what it's all about. And like, you were there for somebody and they will never forget you. And, the fact that you were able to come in on such a stressful time and they were able to give, turn themselves over and trust you. And it's unbelievable that we have these opportunities. And I just think that that's the part of this industry that I love the most. But I've always been a business person and I've always loved making money. So it's like, I get to do that while doing something that feels good. And I always try to not take away from that because like, I am somebody who likes making money. I love hustling. I love working hard. I love, going out for nice dinners, having money in my bank. So like, I don't want to pretend like that's not important, but it's incredible that I could do that while doing what I love, which is helping people. And like that story is incredible. You really saved somebody's life.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it goes. It's like, that's also too why I do this podcast, is because I try to get into like really why this business is so great for people who don't understand. Is you meet other people, you speak to you the first time we've ever kind of interacted, but you see like your stories and who you are and what you've been able to do. Like, this is the best job you could possibly have, because I would do this. And in the beginning, you kind of do it for free. In the beginning, you're like, where's my client? 6 months, I got to have a runway because it's for free right now. And, but it's so worth it, especially when you start building that book of business and then having the lifestyle you can kind of create for yourself. So, I am very lucky to be on this podcast with you. And it's been an honor to have you on. I want to wrap up, but I want, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you kind of want to dive into and talk about?
No, I think the most important, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my fridge and I have purpose on my fridge that Chirag told me, to always remember. And it is our purpose, like what we're finding our purpose and finding what we love. And obviously we share similar purposes, and it's to do our job and to take care of people and do the right thing and sell homes while we're doing it, So I appreciate being on this, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. It was really, really fun. I love talking shop and good stories and real estate all day long. So
listen, we're going to do this for a while, and we might have you on like a repeated thing, and like we keep watching your business grow, because it will. Cool. And it was an absolute honor to have you on. Can you tell everybody where they can check you out, find out your social, and kind of look at what you got going on?
Yes, please follow me on Jess_Sigmund_realtor and follow all my dog and food and wine and houses posts.
Do you prefer people go to the Instagram, or do they check you out on a website? Where do you prefer that they check
My
you out?
Instagram is really where I like people to come. It's where it's most real and authentic.
Absolutely. So we're going to post it in the description and everything like that. And everybody, please check out Jessica's Instagram. If you are interested in Connecticut, Greenwich, Westchester, reach out to her if you have any questions about that market. She's the best. And Jessica, thank you again so much for being on.
Thank you so much.
And everybody, till next time, Leaders of Lifestyle Podcast, take care.